In 2019, London was hit by a wave of protests, bridges being closed, roads being closed. And I've got to tell you, it made me pretty blooming angry. And I think it made a lot of other people pretty angry. But it was all done in the name of Extinction Rebellion. And from the 23rd of August, so it's just around the corner, they're about to start this again in London with 8 different sites. And they're talking in some way about these perhaps being almost permanent protests. So what the attitude of the police will be, I don't know. Well, joining me to discuss Extinction Rebellion, views on climate change, but in particular, some of the tactics that are being used and have been used, is the co-founder of Extinction Rebellion, Roger Hallam. Roger, I'm going to say cheers. Welcome to cheers. Talking Pints. Now, this is the funny thing. You were a co-founder of Extinction Rebellion. You clearly believe the world's about to end. And you believe that sincerely. I question that, but I know you believe that sincerely. But this is the bit that
it may end. Just be a bit more precise.
Well, you think 6 billion could die because of climate change?
Yes,
could.
It certainly could.
So there'll be, what, 1 billion left? So it's a pretty extreme...
That's the view of a number of scientists.
Well, you can get different... I mean, you can, get any scientist you want to say something, but let's come back to that. But here's my point, Roger. We are, as a country, used to changing things generally through the ballot box. We use the ballot box and we change the nature of Parliament and of governments. You must be thrilled with this Tory government. I mean, this is the greenest government we've ever had. I mean, Johnson is making all sorts of commitments. You must be very, very pleased with what Boris is doing.
No, we're horrified.
Horrified?
Horrified.
Why? I mean, he's getting rid of coal. We're going to have electric cars. What's not to like from your point of view?
Well, I think we have to start off. I mean, I do a number of interviews, as you know, and I think we have to start off just establishing the absolute direness of the threat of the climate catastrophe. Because if it's just a little bit of a problem, then number one, there's no excuse to going on the streets, and number two, we can just amble away getting to net zero by 2050. But the fact of the matter is we're facing what scientists call is an existential threat. Now, in ordinary language, that means that billions of people will starve to death and we'll have a collapse of global civilization.
Well, we might get... I mean, look, we could be hit by a meteorite. We could have a series of massive volcanic explosions. There could be a nuclear war. There's all sorts of disaster scenarios that could befall us. And, certainly when I was a kid, people lived in fear of nuclear war, that could wipe out most of mankind as we know it. But my point is this. You yourself have been arrested, for spray painting King's College London's Great Hall. You are, Roger Hallam, you have taken yourself, because of your views, and I understand you hold them, I don't agree with them, but I understand you hold them sincerely, and that's important for me to say that. But you are prepared to use vandalism and violence to achieve your goal.
Well, just to be clear, the precise actions that I'm involved in is painting buildings, painting King's College.
But that is vandalism.
Well, as it happens, I went to a Crown Court and the jury found me unanimously not guilty because they understood that in this country, as I'm sure you know, there's a right of necessity, and the right of necessity says it is legitimate to cause criminal damage if you have a lawful excuse. So the lawful excuse obviously is based upon the degree to which the climate emergency is an emergency.
You see, part of this is because, and I'll tell you why perhaps that is.
Can I just pick you up on one other thing?
Go on. That's fine. Have a go.
I just want to make a few things a little bit clear.
Well, that would be marvellous.
OK, it's not about committing violence, right? You know, and I'm sure many of your viewers know that Extinction Rebellion, you might not like it, but it is explicitly committed to non-violence.
Well, painting things is getting pretty damn close to it. You stop people going about their livelihoods. And here's the funny thing. There are some people who have a sort of favourable view of Extinction Rebellion because OK, we don't necessarily like them closing the bridges, but they're all for. They're all for making the world a better place. And I think sort of even people like Stanley Johnson have turned up at some Extinction Rebellion events. And I know you're not an official anymore, but you're part of that movement. But I wonder, how many people who sort of think, oh, well, Extinction Rebellion, I mean, they're actually pretty harmless. I wonder how many of them sort of know that they're calling for Extinction Rebellion, want 90% of the assets of the wealthy to be stolen.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Well, it comes from Extinction.
Andrew Neil asked
it comes from it comes from Extinction Rebellion. I mean, look, come on, let's face it. This is a Marxist organisation, isn't it? This is hardline communism. This is all about actually getting at the rich, getting at business, putting us back to live in caves. Well, hang on. You're going to ban us flying, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to stop me having a car. Yeah. You're going to stop me eating meat. Can I still drink under the new Hallam world order?
OK, well, just for the record...
No, I'm asking you.
Let me just start by saying I've actually been a businessman personally for 30 years, so it's a little bit rich to accuse me of communism, right? I'm a farmer.
But I think the agenda...
I know, just hang on a minute. So, like, most people in Extinction Rebellion, and dare I say, I know lots of them, are not communists, they're not even left-wing. What Extinction Rebellion is about, if you want to be interested in the reality of the situation, is thousands and millions of people now who are terrified of a very real threat to the continuation of this country, to the continuation of our way of life, to the legacy that we're going to provide for our children, and the very existence of humanity.
All because of carbon dioxide.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I mean, can
so
this is one of the things we need to establish is what's happening in the real world. Because if we don't do that, then you just think I'm mad, and that's up to you. But it so happens
you're certainly different. I'll give you that. But I mean,
but it so happens, as you know, there's been a report come out by the world's top scientists.
I know,
passing 1.5 degrees.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, only 3 years ago, they said no, 1.5 degrees is 2040. Now they've accepted it's going to happen in the next 10 years, maybe in the next 5 to 7 years. So what I'm putting to you here is there's a pattern. And as a savvy politician, as you are, right, you should be aware... Retired. You should be aware that people manipulate the truth in order to have an agenda.
Oh, I know that, because...
Yes. So let me just give you a little...
Hang on a sec. Because in 1989, right, your mates at the UN put out a report that said within 10 years, man-made climate change would move beyond a position where we could do anything about it. The Maldives were going to be underwater. Much of Bangladesh was going to be underwater. We were told in 1989 we had 10 years to save the planet, right? Mm-hmm. We were then told in sort of 2005 or so that the North Pole would be gone in 7 years. It's still blooming there. And now we get another report from these people telling us the end of the world is like. Can you understand?
Well, interestingly enough...
Can you understand why a lot of us think you're crying wolf?
Well, interestingly enough, my position, if you want to know what my position is that they're underestimating the severity of the crisis. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because
what do you base that on?
OK, so there was an article in The Conversation, like you can look it up on the website. It had 3 of the world's leading scientists. And they said that in 2015, at the Paris conference, none of the scientists believed that staying under 1.5 was going to be feasible. So for the last 6 years, this whole global conversation about staying under 1.5 has been rubbish, because in so much as we're going to believe, several thousand of the world's leading scientists, it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because we've already got these increases locked in. And you can look at peer-reviewed papers. I mean, Andrew, when I was last on, was saying, where's the peer-reviewed papers? I've got a peer-reviewed paper for you.
But you're basing everything. This is the crazy part of this. You're basing everything on man's production of carbon dioxide, right? I don't hear you say anything positive about planting trees. I don't hear... I was watching today, Surfers Against Sewage. And by the way, I'm an environmentalist. I have been all my life. I genuinely am. Surfers Against Sewage today, they're going down onto Devon and Cornwall beaches and clearing the place up. They're doing something positive. I don't hear anything from you guys about tree planting programmes, about things we could do, peat bogs or whatever it may be, to start absorbing carbon dioxide, if that's what we're worried about, all I hear about is stopping us living normal Western lives. It's kind of a sort of Cromwellian Puritanism that you want. I mean, you're smiling, which I'm very pleased. I wasn't sure whether you chaps ever smiled, really. but can you see what I'm saying? There's nothing positive
I totally
here.
see what you're saying, and you've got very good reasons to think that the environmental movement historically has interfered with what you might call the traditional way of life in this country. You know, business people want to get on and make money. People don't want red tape. I know what your position is, right?
Well, I want a balance, a sensible balance.
A sensible balance, right? And you've got good reason for opposing that. You know, let's say, for the sake of argument, the argument I'm coming on your show to say is it's actually changed. Now, we know when a situation changes. Now, you can debate whether it has changed, but sometimes something changes and you have to radically change course. In other words, what the situation is at the moment, right, from this point on, is we're in an emergency. Now, when you're in an emergency, you have to change the whole way you approach something. In other words, like traditionally, environmentalism was saying, no, we don't want the free market and what have you. The situation now is if you don't intervene to stop the emission of carbon, right, you're going to destroy the economy, right? This is the critical flip point which people like you, I hope, will engage with. That's why I'm coming on to talk to you. It's not like I'm opposed to your point of view necessarily. That's pretty irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is look at the science. In other words, look at the real world.
So the emergency, OK. You believe
if the real world is saying we're in an emergency,
there's all sorts. There's all sorts of opinions on this, and you know, let's face it, heavy volcanic activity will put far more CO2 into the atmosphere than man ever can. You know, and we don't know whether that's going to happen next Wednesday or whether it's going to happen in 100 years' time. We just don't know, but we know that's true. But Roger Hallam, if you're serious in saying that your activists are going to try and effectively stop London from operating, that we have to move to net zero by 2025. You literally are telling us to virtually live in caves. You know, we wouldn't have a car, we wouldn't go on holiday, we wouldn't go to work. I mean, this is just even if a fraction of your fear was true, this is unachievable.
Well, we're in a very difficult situation, aren't we? I mean, I think you're being a bit disingenuous by saying, you know, it's similar to volcanoes and what.
I'm saying to you, heavy volcanic activity puts out more CO2 into the atmosphere than man does. Do you agree with that?
Look, I don't know, to be honest, on that.
Well, you know, you look at what Krakatoa to the world's weather.
What I do know is, and I talked to some of the world's leading scientists, what I do know is we're in this absolute crisis where we're going to lose the Arctic. There's going to be massive melting of the ice caps.
We've heard it all before.
You've heard it before.
And again and
yes,
again.
You have. So that doesn't mean... No, just listen, right? That does not mean that it doesn't happen, right?
Well, I guess in the end, if you keep making predictions, one of them will come right.
Exactly true, yeah. So here we are in 2021, right? What you have to look at is, yes, you know, false alarms.
I tell you what,
what's happening in 2021?
I tell you what, mate. What we'll do, we'll close everything down, right? We'll dress in hemp and we'll live in caves. But China will go on. It already emits about 30% of the world's CO2. It is coming out of the pandemic far more strongly than anybody else. It's going to go on mining coal. It's going to build 100 new coal-fired power stations this year. Aren't we whistling in the wind? If you're right about this, aren't we whistling in the wind unless China joins you?
It's a massive problem. And I'm interested to know what you think we should do.
Well, I tell you what, there's nothing we can do. They are intense.
I think 10 years ago you were saying that climate change didn't exist, if I remember rightly.
No,
right?
I've always said I don't know.
Right, that's fine.
I don't know.
Now, my understanding of your position now is it is real, right? Most conservative commentators have accepted...
I still don't know, but I'm an environmentalist, and so I'm prepared to take some precautions.
Right, exactly.
And those precautions would be mass global tree planting, mass... encouragement of wetlands, which, as you know, absorb. I want to do some positive things. And yes, we must make engines more efficient. We must do all of those things. All right? So, you know, I am equivocal.
Well, we're on the same
CO2.
side in that sense. Because
Well, I want to hear something positive from you.
What Extinction Rebellion...
Give me some positives, Roger.
Yeah,
all you want to do is make me live in a cave.
No, what we want to do, right, what we want to do through Extinction Rebellion, it's my understanding, is provide a platform for the ordinary people in this country to make a judgment. So they're not following you and they're not following me, right? They can be a citizens' assembly, which they use all around the world. It's a non-political idea, right? Which is ordinary people come together.
Yeah, I worry about
like
that.
your viewers.
Yeah.
Your viewers.
Like the Communist People's Congresses. I don't like the look of it. Roger, I tell you what, we're out of time. One last quick question. What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? Are you so depressed about things that you can't possibly enjoy life?
Well, I enjoy coming on talking.
Well, there you are. He likes a bloody good argument. There we are, Roger Hallam. That was Roger Hallam, and you know what? He's put his case. I'll say one thing for him. He does actually believe it.